Hi everyone, welcome to this fantastic occasion on Oneness for Oneness Foundation rather. Today we're having a very unique occasion. I think this is the first one we're having where we're having just a community chat, so it's our Oneness community chat, and today we'll be being a guest who is already a part of Oneness. She's going to be and very in Canada. So welcome everyone from wherever you're. So if you're connected, just on YouTube, feel free to tell us where you're reaching us or watching us from. And proceed from there as well. The team will be looking at the chat as well to see all messages coming in. So again, without that, I would introduce myself and of course my team here, and then they will go ahead with the community chat. So again, like I said, this is Oneness Community Education Foundation. We are doing a community chat for the first time. This is in 2024. We've done some launch and end series, but this one is the first one where to the core community event. So my name is Wasezwa Momor. I'm and then I'm also kind of directing most of the programs at Oneness, which are mostly impact focused for the Oneness Education Foundation. On my screen, I have Ife Olua, I'm a program manager, and then of course Damilola Adesoya, who is a program manager, but today she's just going to be our guest temporarily. So I would let Ife take over from here, and or they could probably introductions as well. And so generally, guys, how are you on this beautiful Saturday evening? And how is that where you are? I hope it's good. Yeah,
Okay.
Ife,
Yeah.
go on.
Okay. Thank you, Momo. Thank you so much, and thank you, Dami, for joining us for this evening chat. Like he said, my name is Ife Akonde. I'm the community wellness program manager. So not to waste much of our time, I just want to go straight into the, more like a general question, so our viewers can know our guest for today a little bit more. So, Dami, do you mind just like telling us a bit about yourself and your journey into Canada?
Okay. Yeah, thank you for having me this evening. And it's a very big privilege to be here and to kind of share my story, my experiences, and the journey so far. So, my name is Damlola Adesanya. I live in Canada. I'm in code like the guest for tonight, and I'm like the program manager the volunteer manager for Oneness Foundation. My journey into Canada, I will say my journey into Canada was an interesting one. It was just like a simple example of man proposes and God disposes. But because I had a lot going on for me back at home in Nigeria, where I'm from, and when it had to do with career, academic prospects, and all, I had a whole lot going for me, and I felt that I had it all figured out there. But suddenly, like the name Canada came up at some point, and I arrived Canada a little over 2 years ago, and the rest they say is history, like basically.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's interesting to know.
Yeah.
If you could just give us a glimpse into what were you actually doing back home in Nigeria?
Yeah. So back home in Nigeria, I studied and I practiced physiotherapy. Yeah, I was more into the community physiotherapy kind of. And by the side, I founded like a non-profit called Royal Gem Initiative, and it's an NGO that is focused on period poverty advocacy in Africa. And alongside with all of these things, I was also serving as a consultant for different non-governmental organizations or non-profit as well, and some government parastatals on SDG issues and non-profit issues, basically or generally. So, like
Okay.
in summary, I was shuffling as both a physiotherapist, a consultant, an NGO non-profit founder, kind of. So that was where like my life was in between.
Oh, that's interesting to know. I mean, you were kind of, full hands back in Nigeria. So,
Basically.
another question I would like to ask is like, so since you've been in Canada now, what would you say is your like first impression about the country and how it has this impression has it changed so far or is still the same?
So when I landed Pearson Airport,
Okay.
I think I came in during winter. The impression was like, this cold is gonna deal with me.
Wow.
That was just like the impression at Pearson Airport, basically, because
Okay.
I'm allergic to cold, kind of. But I didn't
Okay.
know that that was not even the impression at all. That was not even the impression Canada was getting for me. I think
Hmm.
staying and living in Canada for probably about a week, one thing I kind of learned was this land is going to test my patience.
Okay.
And the land truly did.
Hmm.
Like my patience was tested in Canada. Like I don't think I've had this level of patience, but I don't think I had it back home in Nigeria. But I've gathered a whole lot of strength and patience for unforeseen circumstances and a whole lot of stuff. Like people that are based in Canada will kind of understand what I'm saying. But has it changed? No, it hasn't. But I think what I'm learning to do is I'm learning to live through it, to learn the process and not necessarily jumpstart those processes and the patients, but learn to pick the examples and learn to pick some lessons in those, like at that point when I'm patient. So basically, it hasn't changed. I don't think it's going to change, but it's
Hmm.
just what I do during those processes that matters
Okay.
basically for me.
I'm glad you talked about patience, resilience, and because we all need that in our because being in Canada, the whole journey process requires a lot of patience, and I'm glad that you are mentioning this because it's very important, especially for our newcomers, for new people that are just coming to Canada. It's good for them to know that yeah, Canada is a land of opportunities, but for you to get those opportunities, you have to, exercise some patience. And part of being patient is talking about this, volunteering for organization. It might not be where you want to be, but it's a good start for you. So talking about volunteering, I know you're a big person in the volunteering, frame. So can you please tell us a bit about your volunteering experience so far in Canada? Especially from the standpoint of being an international student, because I want to emphasize on that. It's very important being an international student. And how has this impacted your personal, professional life overall in Canada?
Yeah, thank you for this question. Um, Okay, maybe part of the things that I didn't mention when I was introducing myself is the fact that I came in as an international student. Okay, that's one of the very exciting and interesting thing about my journey to Canada.
Okay.
I okay, like, and that was also it was at this point and my volunteering point that I got to get that lesson that this is one thing Canada is going to teach me, and that's patience. And I like the fact that you kind of touched on it. I remember at some point when I got here, back home in Nigeria, I used to be busy. Like at every like even with everything that I mentioned that I was doing, but like I was actually always doing something at every point in time. So I was used to doing something, working, and I got to Canada and I started applying for jobs and the rejections were just streaming in, like those rejection emails. Sorry, unfortunately, we're sorry. I'm like, what? Why are you guys sorry for rejecting me? Like
Mhm.
it felt so heartbreaking. And I'm like, no, maybe these guys are not getting the gist. Maybe I'm not letting them know what I'm capable of doing. Maybe I need to really express myself. Like I did some cover letters that were even me when I read it, I'm like, no, you're good. Like you're just gonna land this job. Like they're gonna call you. It's just, at some point, I'm like, you know what? Some of this your resumes and cover letters will probably even get you promoted, like even from the roles that you applied for. You're just gonna apply for a lower role, and they'll be like, no, this resume is too good for you to be starting from me. Like those were the impressions I had, and the rejections just kept coming in. And I'm like, what is going on? Like the last one, like the straw for me, like the point where I knew that like there's really something going on that I'm not getting was when I applied to this organization right beside my house.
Okay.
Right, we don't even share a fence because we don't have a fence. It's just
Okay.
coming from my house and walk there. And I applied there and I said something. Even if every other person, or while I'm waiting for other people to kind of consider my resume, these guys are gonna call me because we're neighbors for kind of, and like I kind of emphasized it on my resume. That, and the very good thing is I'm gonna be very early to work because I'm just living beside you. Like I kind of
Mm.
emphasized on my house address for them to know that I'm your neighbor, and once in a while checking to just know what is happening. Like, and I just got this rejection. And in short, they were like the first set of people to like tell me that you do not have the experience required. I'm like, what?
Okay.
With all the resume and everything I gave you guys, you're still telling me I don't have the experience and all. And that was something that kind of lit into my head. Like that was like the lighting bulb for me. Like you do not have the experience required. And I sat down and I kind of thought to myself, if in quotes, a lower job like this is even telling me I do not have the experience required, what was I expecting from higher organizations? And I'm like, okay, what it means is that experience is really necessary in this part of the world.
Mm.
Doesn't have to do with your experience. For in short, sorry, they were specific Canadian experience. Sorry,
Mm.
and it meant that I needed to find something to do to get the Canadian experience. And at that point, the only option I had on my table was volunteering.
Mm.
And that's where we started the whole volunteering journey. And I started searching up for organizations that were open to volunteering, and I saw like a couple of them. I
Okay.
started my journey, sorry, in Canada with VON.
Okay.
So then I registered and I volunteered with VON. Even at that point, the volunteering was a remote one where we just get to visit people. But like some months into my volunteering period with VON, I applied again for a job, and honestly, I didn't put all of those experiences because I really didn't even want to mess myself like back home. The only thing I just kept there was volunteering experience, and I kept the organization in Canada, and I got a call.
Mm.
And, I,
Really?
and they asked for a reference, and they were so specific that they wanted their reference, like the reference I was going to bring, to be a Canadian.
Okay.
And all I did was I just reached out to my volunteer manager and I asked, can you please do this, do this, do this? I was like, no problem. And that was it. And they called me the next day, come and start the job.
Whoa.
Even if I didn't even do the job for like, I don't think I worked there for like up to a month before I got another job. And immediately I got that gist and that scope, like, still come. And I kind of asked myself a question at a point, and I'm like, okay, look at you in the put yourself in the position of the employee manager, and you're putting a reference that is a Canadian, and you're putting somebody is also putting a reference that is from another country, and you want them to employ, or you want to employ somebody. Who is the first person you're going to reach out to?
Consider. Yeah.
By default, what came to my head is the first number that I do not need to call and would give me charges for international calls.
Mm.
By default, that number is a Canadian number because we are in Canada. And it kind of dawned on me that they'll probably start with those that have Canadian references. When they see they're not getting the candidate from there, they'll start moving to probably other countries.
Other
Then they start
people.
moving
Yeah.
around there. Most likely, before they get to you, they'll probably have employed the people they want to
They
employ.
want it. Yeah, it's true.
Then that is why they are going to send you those rejections. So what are you doing to top the charts? What are
Mm.
you doing to make yourself different from other applicants? What are you doing to make your resume, your applications, what are you doing to make it like
Stand out.
smile at them? Hi
Mm.
guys, I'm really noticeable. And it dawned on me. And since I started it, it's been so amazing. Because another thing, at first I thought it was just for work experience. But I also realized that I've been able to build skills that I didn't know that I could build.
Mm. Which is very important. Mm.
So, using this as an example, I volunteered with Canadian Cancer Society as the sponsorship lead. God knows or heaven knows that I had no idea about sponsorship. In short, if you had told me anything about sponsorship, I'd be like, I'm not good when it comes to accounts. I'm not good when it comes to financial stuff. I don't even want to get there. But working in that role made me realize that I had the skills even when I didn't know I had the skills.
Because in it, you just needed something to bring it out.
Because you know you cannot disappoint, because it doesn't
Hmm.
make sense when you are even giving your time for free and you're not bringing something tangible. If I am going to be giving my
Yeah.
time that I know that ideally I should make money, like from in organizations, even if I am not making the money, I should be able to make an impact. That when so the only reason why I will reach out to a volunteer manager to sign for me and the person is going to agree to sign for me is because I have made an impact in the
Hmm.
organization.
Mm-hmm.
So it because it doesn't make sense to me that I am spending my time somewhere and I'm not doing it judiciously. Then it means that the time that I spend and I've wasted everybody's time, my time, the owners. So that's one thing about it. So it was then that I realized that I had that skill. Like even I didn't have it at first. I learned it.
Hmm.
And it was kind of, it made me realize that as human beings, we have capacity to grow, to expand.
Hmm. Yeah.
So all of these things you don't get to test the waters when you're working in a real job.
Hmm.
You can't you don't you in short you cannot afford to make those mistakes or afford to want to play those games. So you are applying for a real job. You apply for the job because you know in your surest heart that you can do it, not
Hmm.
because you think that you can do it. I don't know if you understand
Okay.
it, but for
Yeah.
volunteering, you can think you can do it. In short, you can think you cannot do it and do it, but you just know that you're going to learn something out of it. And it was at that point that I did it, and we're so surprised. And most times, our manager is always sending emails to the team. Damn it, this, damn it, that. I'm like, damn it, did care. Hey, okay, you know what? Moving forward, I've started applying for more volunteering roles as a sponsorship lead.
Oh, that's great.
Currently, I applied to an organization for volunteering role. It's a big organization, kind of, and I applied for a position, another position. When they checked my resume, they sent me a mail and said no. Instead, they wanted me to apply for the position of a sponsorship lead, not even what I applied for. So it took me volunteering for an organization on a very new platform that I didn't even think I could do. I got skills, I built capacity, and I'm extending it to the community. So
Right.
the journey has been very beautiful, very exciting. It's not um it wasn't what I thought of when I started, but because when I started it was more like for the experience and all. But for now, like right now, I feel good. And apart from even the skills, I can categorically tell that it has increased like my networking system. Like,
Yeah.
You
yeah,
know, you know what, Dami? I think you are going deep into what we really want to do. So I want us to take it bit by bit so that our audience will be able, I want them to be taking it bit by bit, taking
okay,
notes. I don't want them to miss any part of
it's
this
fine.
session. From what you've said so far, I can see that it had a very positive impact professionally for you, even
Yeah.
personally by learning new skills and stuff like that. So for our audience, please as you're watching, kindly start putting your questions in the chat so that we can read it for Dami to answer some of your questions. And while I hand over to Momo to take it over from here, I know he has some other juicy questions to ask you that will be very beneficial to our audience. Right, Momo?
Yes. Thank you so much, Dami. Thank you so much, Ife. It's really a beautiful story that you have. It's a testament to the fact that volunteering truly and indeed helps to, they say these days for you to be a great career, for you to have a great career, you need to think of your career like an entrepreneur. So they call it careerpreneur, where you
Mm,
have to really look at your career and not just think of a job, but think of everything around that and what you are intending to build. Volunteering, to me, because at some point when you move from another part of the country, on that part of the world, at some point your resume has to look more Canadian, and over time less from your home country. And in Dami's case, I mean, if you even go through, this is going through her profile, a LinkedIn profile, for example, you see that it has over the years, just I think that means just 2 years now, 2 years
Yeah.
plus in Canada, just 2 years plus in Canada. That's an amazing story of how she has been able to really leverage the needs within the community, grow her network in the community, grow her personal brand, because everybody now needs to shape up for their brand. Career now, you don't just sit down and say branding is not just for companies or self-employed people. It's actually for everyone. You have to brand yourself. And I think, again, like they say, all the things you have on your resume and your social networks and all of that are your that are your tools to sell yourself. For the employer, it's a tool to screen people in or out of a hiring process. So to everyone out there, I really encourage you to connect with Dami as well, and get some inspiration from our story. If you're thinking of not volunteering, hey, especially when you're just moving, you want to get something on your resume that speaks very Canadian, and tell people that, again, and they even say this in Canada, people only hire people they know or people they trust. The people are not going to hire you if they don't know you. You may be a great person, which most of us are anyways as new immigrants, but they don't know that. It's either you tell them about what you're doing and how you do it on in a resume, but if you want to even take it a step further, you go volunteer and show them. And then when they're hiring, I think if you or Dami, you might have seen this before, where they paste out something, they paste a job, which by law they're required to do, but the person they're going to hire is already in-house, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
they
Yes.
already know
Yes.
to get the job. So it's really just
Of
a
course.
formality.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't do interviews. I spoke to one of the managers once when I first moved here, and the person said, well, for us to take someone else, if we already have someone in-house, it means that person from outside, like, is just way
Outstanding.
too outstanding, like, that we had to pass on someone inside. And most times, all of us are probably all the same skill sets, and they just say, well, there's not much difference. And then we interview, you go through the opposite, you'll be hopeful, whereas they've already given, they're not sending you the love letter, oh, thank you for applying and all that. Anyways, thank you, Dami, for sharing. Now, this is one of the reasons why at Oneness we came up with the volunteering program. And then, Dami, you're going to be leading that volunteering program. So we're going to, just for our audience to understand a little bit about that volunteering program. So the first thing I want to say is, who will this volunteering program that Oneness is launching today, who will this program actually be for? What category of people in terms of maybe their immigration status, or is it just temporary residents? Is it permanent resident citizens? Like, who students? Who exactly would this volunteering program be for?
Okay. Thank you for that, Momo. So,
Mhm.
this volunteering program that we're starting at Oneness is for everybody.
Okay.
Citizens, permanent resident, temporary
Yeah.
resident, even those that are think in short, like the moment you start to see Canada in your dreams, something starts to spark Canada in your head, even if you're not in Canada
Right.
yet, it is for you. It is for everybody. Like, because
Okay.
no matter, one thing is this, no matter your residency status, you still want to network with people, you still want to probably get career advancement, you still want to develop
Right.
some skills that can also help you in
Mm-hmm.
the future. And we know that skills are also transferable. Sometimes these skills are not even for you,
Mm-hmm.
they're for people close to you, they're for people in your place of work, that you need to, like, those are
Mm-hmm.
the things that makes you a leader wherever you find yourself. So being a leader
Right.
is not
Right.
the fact that you were born to become a leader. Yes, there are some people that were born like that, but most leaders also grow. They learn to be leaders. You need to be very intentional about it. And volunteering is one of the processes of being intentional about being leadership. I
Mm-hmm.
know most people used to think that volunteers are like the least on the letter, they're like the servants, they're like the slaves. One thing I tell people is that volunteers are usually on the top list of the organogram. Either you want to take it or leave it, because without volunteers, the organization is not solid. An organization is not so. So
Right.
if you have that mindset that now I can't be a volunteer because I'm the lead, no, 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 no. That's a very wrong mindset. You need to start changing that and believe that if you're a volunteer in somewhere, it takes a whole lot of courage, energy, and like mindset
Right.
for you to say you want to stand up and go and work in and change your community for free. It takes a lot. In
Right.
short, it even
Right.
speaks of a kind of personality. it shows that you're a selfless person. So
Right.
sorry to divert. I volunteered with an organization at some point, and they were expecting me to get paid, but something happened, and you know what? I'm like, I'm just gonna jump on board and I won't get paid and everything. And I got someone tell me that this is the first time they've ever seen anybody work in Canada for free. And I worked like I was working and I was going to be getting paid. And the person said,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Even if somebody calls me tomorrow, like even if I find you in a job and someone tells me that, that means the laziest person I've seen, this person, she's not going to believe it because she has seen how loyal I am when it comes to
Devoted you
anything
are.
that I put things. So those
Right.
are the things that speaks for you. I wasn't working with them, but I already know that if in the future I need her, or at any point she sees me somewhere where I'm stuck, I know that she's going to put in words for me. So those are
Yeah.
the way we put in networking. And so
Yeah.
this volunteering program is not for one specific set of people. It's for everybody. It's for you. It's for me. It's for everybody.
So
Provided,
just to add to that, are you also saying that the volunteer program is open to, because Oneness Education focuses a lot on internationally educated healthcare professionals. So you're saying even internationally educated healthcare professionals are welcome,
yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
and that's
Okay.
because we have like several committees.
Okay.
So
Okay.
international,
That was the next question, actually. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That was the next question.
yeah, because we have several
So
committees.
yeah, which is like the
Yeah.
program. So tell us a little bit about the program structure, like the volunteer program. Is it, because I also understand that there's going to be some internships as well. So are they all under the volunteer program, and then how does each work?
Yeah.
Right.
So thank you for that question, Mama. So for the
Yeah.
volunteering program, it's kind of it's volunteering slash internship.
Okay.
Volunteering the same, like by the side, internship by the side. So if you're a student and your course of study has anything to do with internship, and you have the
Right.
struggle of probably applying to places and you're not sure that they're going to get back to you, but you need to complete your
Yeah.
work hours, that's a very good one for you. Like oneness,
Right.
not because we accept any kind of person. There's also a level of discipline that you need to put in and
Exactly.
all.
Bring to
There's
the
also a
yeah.
level of commitment that you need to put to the work. Where even if we're opening the ground for volunteering, still doesn't mean that we play
Right.
here. So as much as we're embracing everybody, we also have some standing rules. So it doesn't feel
Mhm.
like, okay, honest, we're just gonna jump there the next day and all of that. So but
Right.
if you feel you're stuck and probably you need your internship hours to be complete, that's a good one. We have an internship package by the side. We also have the volunteering package by the side, and that as well also have some standing rules and regulations and some things that makes like the house to be in order. So
Right.
for the volunteering program,
Mhm.
we the plan is to run it like you join a committee. We have several committees, and that's why it's open to
Mhm.
everybody, not just international health practitioners. That's why it's
Right.
open to everybody. Even if you see a committee and you feel like you do not have the skills for this committee, but you want to join the committee, you're free to join because you will definitely find people that can also put you through. That's one of the advantages of joining or volunteering. It helps you to learn new skills. So
Mhm.
you join in as a volunteer, you work through a committee for 3 months. If you feel that you do not need to join another committee, you're comfortable in the committee you are, you can stay back there for as long as you want to do. But the least period of time you can volunteer is for 3 months. But there's no exception to the most period of time you can stay. But like the least you can volunteer is for 3 months, and when you do that, you join a committee. If you feel you need to leave, fine. Like after 3 months, you go to another one or you leave. Then when you're done, there's some perks for you. You get reference. We're here for you. Stand
Yeah.
by. If you need that reference as your job experience for people that are just coming into Canada and you are also in the same boat as me, you need a Canadian work experience. This is a very good one. This is a very good
Mhm.
opportunity to explore. So you get Canadian work experience letter. You get, we are available to give your employer a phone call or to receive their calls, to reply their emails, to give you letters, whatever it is you need. It is a family here, so be rest assured that you have us. And we also have so many perks that I don't want to start saying it everything here.
No,
So
no, no, don't let the cat
I
out
know
of the bag.
that
No.
Right. Right.
it's a
Just
very
before,
beautiful
yeah,
program.
yeah, just
Mhm.
before we go on, Dami, thank you so much for, you know, so far. I just want to let our audience know one thing, that volunteering in Canada is a job, because it's easy for someone to think, yeah, I'm just going to volunteer. No, is a job on its own. In fact, in some organizations, for you to be a volunteer, they interview you just like you're going for a job.
Yeah.
So I want us to have that mindset, so that's why when you put it on your resume, it counts, because they know that it's a job. Here in Canada, anywhere you volunteer, they know it's a job. The only difference is that you are not getting paid. So for our people that are just coming from other countries into Canada, please have this mindset. But I don't know how volunteering works in other countries, but for Canada, please know that it is a job. So that when you have that mindset and you come into Oneness Education Foundation to volunteer, we're expecting you to give, to be dedicated to it, to commit to it, because at the end of the day, it counts as Canadian experience for you. All right. Thank you,
Right.
Dami. So, Momo, you can take it from here.
Yeah, yeah. So I just want to now it's a 3 month program, and in that 3 months program you can volunteer. So any ideas about the kind of committees people are going to be volunteering for? And because again, people need to know what Oneness does,
Yeah.
overall. So Oneness typically supports internationally educated healthcare professionals, trying to see how they can integrate into the Canadian healthcare system, moving them from non-practice to practice status in the shortest possible time. So since that is, as what kind of interesting committees will these volunteers be engaged in to support this kind of mission? Any
Thank
ideas
you
of the
very
kind of
much.
committees?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have the social media committee, and those are the people that will be in
Right.
charge of raising awareness, running campaigns,
No.
advocacy, handling all our social media
Mhm.
platforms. Like, we are really busy right now when it comes to social media. So like, the social media people should know that we have stuff on ground. So it's not like we're still crawling. We are currently flying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are currently flying, and
Right.
so raising awareness, social media publicity, and all that. Then we
Mhm.
also have the sponsorship and the fundraising committee. They'll be in charge of driving fundraising, awareness, getting sponsors, getting donors, crowdfunding, making campaigns, organizing gala events, raising donors. Like, so we need people. You'd next Okay, sorry, the next one is the research committee. And at Oneness, we're all about, in short, there's almost all organizations in Canada has a part of them that has to do with research. Research is a thing here. So, and it's very important that we are tracking what we're doing, the impact that we're making, tracking our
Mhm.
community to also know how best we can serve our community. And we just need to evaluate what we're giving in and what we're bringing in. So that's where the research comes into play. And we have this committee, and we need people in the research team to help us get data, when anything that has to do research, like get data, make interviews, write books, write
Yeah.
publications, all of that.
Mhm.
Now, one thing about all of this is, these are the three major committees that we have, but they are not limited to these three. We have more committees, but like, these are the top ones on the list at the moment. But we have other ones.
Yeah.
We have the welfare, we have the program and the manage,
Yeah.
like programs and event and all. Like, we have a whole lot, but these are like
Yeah.
the major ones. So if you feel that all the committees I've mentioned, you feel like you do not resonate with them, free feel free free feel free, sorry, to reach out to us
Yeah.
and ask
Okay.
more questions. We also have like a
Yeah.
form
Yeah.
that you're going to see several committees. And if you still don't see the committee that kinds of resonates with you, still send us a mail, or feel free to just reach out to us and ask more questions. But we have more committees. But these three are just
Yeah.
like the
The
major ones.
umbrellas. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
I mean, if it's of any help, we could also the 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 volunteer form if people want to see that. I don't know, and then we can just go through it. I know there are other committees that IT and other things, but they more focus on. I understand they are more focused on the internship side of things.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to find out was we talked about the structure of the program. What is the minimum hours of commitment that a volunteer would typically have? Did they have to meet every day? Did they, meet like once a week? Do they kind of meet like every month with you, for example? What are you thinking that structure would look like for now?
Okay, so our expectations when it comes to volunteering is that we expect like prospective volunteers to dedicate about 4 to 5 hours. We'll pick 4 hours basically,
Right.
but you can
Mhm.
go like again. We just have a limit. We don't have an exception to the maximum, the
Yeah.
upper
Right,
limit.
right,
Yeah, we just
right,
have a
Mhm.
lower limit. So let's say four
right.
hours, a minimum of 4 hours per week
Mhm.
in whatever committee that you've picked. And there's a
Right.
difference between giving 4 hours and giving 4 hours. So if you are
Mhm.
giving 4 hours, we also need to know that you also need to know that is worth it. Like, so
Mm.
you need to be very honest with yourself that you're giving 4 hours. So once you sit down, you realize that you have this 4 hours to spare and to give, then that's fine. But now, for those that do not have the 4 hours to give, we have the
Mhm.
active and the inactive volunteers.
Right.
So the active volunteers are those that would intentionally say, I have this 4 hours to give and I'm giving it weekly.
Mhm.
The inactive volunteers are those that, okay, guys, I really want to volunteer, but I really do not have that long stretch of 4 hours to give, but I want to do stuff. So with the organization, I want to volunteer with the organization. We have room for everybody. We are accommodating everybody. So you are either on the active side or on the inactive side, but doesn't mean that you're not volunteers and doesn't mean you're not valuable. Just that the time difference is different,
Right.
like you're giving different times. So if you're coming as an inactive person, we have stuffs for you to do. If you're coming as an active person, we have stuffs for you to do. You just let us know the number of time that you want to give. But if you're identifying as an active volunteer, it's expected that you're giving us 4 hours, a limit like minimum of 4 hours in a week, and you're doing 3 months straight in the
Mhm.
committee that you decide to choose.
Right. Okay.
I just want
That
to
that
add a
that
quick,
that
yeah,
makes
okay. I just want to ask a quick question, another a follow-up question to that. For active and inactive volunteers, when it comes to reference, do they both get references also? Because we need to be clear on that so that people will not be like, oh, so if I'm not active, I'm not gonna get reference,
Yeah. Yeah.
What speak
Everybody
to
gets reference. There are perks for
okay.
everybody. Now, but the only thing is just that an inactive volunteer might not just get all the perks that we have for volunteers, but there are some standard perks for our volunteers. We
Okay.
have several specs for them, several benefits, but
Okay.
it might just be very different from each other. But
Mm-hmm.
we all know that. But another thing is this: even for an inactive volunteer, the number of hours you dedicate or you give to the organization, the accumulation of it also has to be meaningful. You can't
Yes.
give an hour like in total of active inactive volunteerism and come after a few days and say you need reference. You
True.
must have also served for a particular number of time, even as an active person, before you can get
Mm.
a reference. But if you do all of these things and we see how committed you are, there's always a reference for you. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's all about the
right, right.
impact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
your
yeah,
impact.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's very important.
Right. I mean, there's also something that's on the form now. So we have a big opportunity coming on the 14th of December, for example. This opportunity to volunteer. It's the IEHP integration, first of its kind, really, in Canada, and Oneness Education Foundation is championing this. It's going to be on the 14th of December in the city of Toronto library. So I think media team on IT team, they're gonna just put that in the chat on YouTube, so we as well. Now for those who want to volunteer for that kind of program, because this is a one-time thing, so they may say, I want to support this one-time program. Those kind of people would be inactive, or there's just going to be, or they could say, well, I may not be able to come back to a committee, but for this maybe next 3 weeks towards the program, those kind of people. Or we welcome people like that, because right now on the volunteer form that is on the chat tube, I can see that that form is alive and people can actually click on that specific happening on December 14th as their specific an option. So if you have just general comment to everyone watching, if you have a specific maybe volunteer committee you think and you want to recommend, you can actually put it there. I would love to one this kind of committee, but you guys don't have it. So maybe someone may say, hey, write blogs. But again, that's part of social media, right? You guys,
Yeah,
people might
it's
also
through
help you write
social
blogs,
media. Yeah.
like stories, impacts, and all of that kind of thing. I don't know, Dami, what do you think? And if what do you guys think about that?
Yeah. So one thing I know is
Yeah.
this: as someone that is a dedicated volunteer, even when you check the list of the things that people bring out for volunteerism, like maybe an organization brings out a list of stuff that they do for volunteerism, you will find a place to put yourself. There's always a place to fit in. Like even if you feel like you cannot do it, like there's just this one role that is just going to be
Right.
blinking and blinking
Resonate with
and be
you.
like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
role
Yeah.
feels, do you get, just like when you're applying for a
Right.
job and the job title doesn't seem like what I do, but the job description feels like I can do this, I can do so. That's one thing I want you to know. But if you now check all the list of the things that we have and you're like please just feel free to reach out to us and let us know what you have in mind. And if we hear from you, we can kind of look back at the things that we've highlighted and let you know that okay, this is something similar to what you have in mind. And if we think that what you have in mind does not resonate with the things that we have, we can bring up something for you. Like
Surely.
we want
Surely.
everybody to be
Right.
happy. We want you to
Yeah, we are
explore,
open.
to be
Yeah.
free. We are open to, and
Yeah.
that's one thing about Oneness. We're a family. We
Mm.
also value our volunteers. We don't see you as volunteers. We
Mm.
see you as a family. Like everybody
Mm.
in Oneness is a family. So we see you as a family. So your opinions matters, your feedbacks matters, what you have in mind matters. So just feel free to let us know what you think. And for the event on the 14th, even if you think you cannot be there physically to volunteer, we also need volunteers at the back end.
Mm-hmm.
We need people for social media before the
Yeah.
event. We need people to even help during the event to also ring the noise, like shake it out. Guys,
Like
we're having
registration.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you understand? We need
Yeah.
people at the back end as well. We need people post the event to write reports. We need post the event to post
Right.
snippets of what happened during the event. We need, like, do you understand? So we need a lot of hands on deck. So if you feel you might not be able to meet up with the event on the 14th to volunteer, there's a lot of stuff for you to do
Mhm.
like outside the event. So feel free. We're here. There's something for everybody.
All right, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for that. And also, and I don't know if there's any question in the chat, IT team, please, so that we can scroll that I can see on the chat. But so far nothing. But the other thing I wanted to mention as well is in Canada, even when you, I think even when you become a citizen, they say one of the core functions of a citizen in Canada is
Very right.
volunteering. Help your community. And
Yeah. Yeah.
as well.
Sure.
When I actually saw it, I was actually shocked because it's actually kind of like a thing. You should. I wanted to say was for especially for at least for internationally educated healthcare professionals, more so internationally trained physicians or medical graduates. Let it call again today with the newcomers center at P region, and we had some guests from different IEHP 7 organizations. One of the key things they talked about, even as camp season is here now, they talked about, what have you been doing in Canada? Doesn't even matter whether it's health related, as because they say a good Canadian doctor will be someone who knows how to
Give
do
back.
things without expecting anything in return, because they expect that there will be days where you go slightly above and beyond.
Yeah,
So they want to be able to see that through your volunteering experience,
that's
whether
good.
in Canada or outside Canada. The way they can validate that is volunteering experience, because healthcare professionals should be able to sacrifice one. In fact, no 2 days are the same. One day you go, you wanted to come at 8 o'clock, you ended up coming at 10 o'clock because things happened, emergency and things. I mean, we are all healthcare professionals and we know how that is so common. So they usually want
Yeah.
to see, not many professions do those kind of, well, it's 8 o'clock, I don't care, I'm shutting my doors. But in healthcare, we stay. And that you're that this is healthcare. Is like I always tell my students in school, healthcare is a but more significantly, it's a calling.
Mm.
That's why it's a different type of ball game. So thank you so much for expatiating a little bit on the volunteer program that we wanted to launch. So question now is, once people fill this form, somehow does Oneness reach out to these people and our IEHPs or anybody watching over, and then do we just follow up with them? And how quickly can they start? Is it cohort by cohort? Are we doing something like, okay, the 3 months? Is it when you start that your 3 months starts counting, or okay, after these 3 months done, this cohort has finished, and then there's a new cohort of volunteers. So we'll be getting applications or getting resumes or whatever. How does that typically work? What are you thinking?
Thank you, Momo. So,
Yeah.
the way it's going to work is this: like, we are okay. We're not limited to. I don't want to use we don't use court, or we will not use court, and in the sense that most times when it has to do with court, it means like you're opening and you're closing. But this is a progressive
Right.
thing. Yeah. So that's why I'm trying to avoid the word courts. Like, feels
Okay.
like these are the first set of volunteers, these are the second set of volunteers. So what it means is that we're not
Right.
giving room for sustainability or for continuation when we
Yeah.
start to do cohorts.
Right.
It feels like, so maybe when we are doing like our fellowship programs, mentoring programs, yeah, we're gonna use the cohort for that. Well, for the volunteering, it's continuous. Like, the link is open at any time. If you feel like this is not a good time for you to volunteer, that's fine. But if you feel like in the next 1 week you're up to it, you jump on it, and it's always open. The link is always available, and
Right.
the moment you sign
Right.
up and you fill the
So it
form,
means Oneness is track your 3 months.
yes.
From
Is that the
the
meaning? It doesn't mean that Oneness is going to
No,
track your
so
3
we are
months
not tracking from the
from
day
when you
you fill
started.
the form. So we're not tracking from the day you fill the form. When you fill the form, you just fill the form. But at the point where, so we're going to be having like
Right.
an onboarding session. It's
okay.
very important to understand where you're coming to work, to understand the
Okay.
culture, the values, and to also have a very clear understanding of what this organization is all about. So the moment we are done with that, that
Right.
usually takes about probably a day or two. Once we are done, but once you start the
Mhm.
onboarding session, it starts, the period starts, like your
Okay.
3 months starts,
Right, right,
and
right. So it's
yeah,
from that onboarding we start counting. So if you
yes, we
onboard
start
sometime in
counting.
January, you expect to volunteer till about April or
Yes,
March,
till about
March,
April.
April.
And doesn't mean that we're not going to be monitoring. We're going to be monitoring your consistency, your dedication, the time that you're giving. If at any point we feel like there's something going on, like you're defaulting and you don't have like a tangible reason, we're nice. We're going to call you to order. What's going on? Like we said, we're a family, so we do not assume. We want to hear from you. We want to know what is going on. If it's something that we believe that a lot of stuff can happen, family emergencies and anything that would require you not to give your time. So we
Mhm.
understand those things. But if you're not coming up with something genuine and it feels like this is who you are regular, we might just have to let you go. As much as we want you, we might have to let you go because we do not want you to draw other volunteers back.
Okay. I have a
Right,
quick
right, right.
question. I want you to take me through the process of this volunteering registration. Okay, I'm putting myself in the shoe of a volunteer. I fill in the form today. What next? How long does it take for me to hear from you to get in? And what is it? What am I expected to go through some apart from the onboarding, like interviews or like? Can you please take us through
Yeah.
that process?
Okay, thank you very much, Ife. So when you fill the form, okay, let's assume you fill the form this night. Once we're
Okay.
done, you fill the
Mm-hmm.
form this night. Okay, today is a weekend, so most likely you're gonna hear from us on Monday or Tuesday, within two
Oh,
business
oh,
working
is
days.
that fast? Yeah.
Yeah, within two business working days, you hear from us, and when you hear from us, we would have to have like not an interview, like a chat with you, like this coffee
Okay.
chat we're having. We
Yeah.
want to see your face,
Okay.
if not even see your face, we want to hear your voice. For those that will probably be working remotely, even if you don't want to share your face with us, we want to hear your voice. We want to also hear what inspired you to volunteer. Everybody has different reasons, so we want to know what is pushing you, what is motivating you, so we can kind of be on the same page with you. For some people, they just want to volunteer so they can get work experience and get the letter. For some people, they don't need all these things. They just want to give back to the community. So we can know how to relate with you on a personal note, on a personal space. So once we're done with that, we're going to let you know when we get back to you after the two business working days. We'll give you like some dates. Let's know your availability. And when you give us a date, we'll get back to you. We'll have that call. And once you're done, also, when we have that call, we're kind of doing like a mini onboarding session with you. So we don't have to go again and come back, go again and come back. We're also having like a mini onboarding session with you, with every team member. So every of the teams that we've mentioned, we have their team leaders. So you're going to be having a meeting with every team member and team leader. They're going to be talking about what they do in their different irrespective team. So you have a better understanding of how this team works. So let's assume you actually volunteered in the paper, like in the form, that you want to do this, but after listening to this person, you feel like you're more resonated to this. You are free to move. Maybe when next you like my face, you come to the next team and also again at that point you get to also have a one-on-one, understand how your team member is. The person also understands you better. And once we are done with that session, automatically we move you to start working with the person. So you move
Okay.
to your team and you
Mhm.
start working with the person basically. So
Okay.
that's like a short
Right.
summary of how it goes.
Good. Oh,
Right. Right.
okay.
We really gone done a very good job breaking down the understanding for our audience, regarding this volunteer program that application today. The question I have for you now is, what kind of message do you want to leave for the audience? Now, I'm very specific about this because you came in as an international student, and right now there's so much. Any day, the education minister says something, everybody's like, "Oh God, what again? What did we do again?" Because I speak to the students every day in school, and say they're really stressed out.
Yeah.
Some of them are going through a lot of mental health struggle, just in a country where you're never sure of your
Okay. Thank you.
status. Today they announce something, you don't know, am I going to get a job? There's so much competition. And now we're talking about the power of volunteering. um, for you that came in as a student, what inspirational message would you have from you to, like, hey guys, the struggle is real, but kind of it's still,
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah, because I was still seeing the other day that most people still said they wanted to come to Canada, which most people felt, oh well, Canada isn't great. So people are saying that, but now I still think the data shows that a lot of international students still want to come to Canada, regardless, based off of the data from 2023 and towards the 2024 beginning. So, what's your message to those international students who are IEHPs or even students in general that are watching?
Okay.
Mhm.
From me to you. So what I'm just gonna say is one thing, and I think it kind of helped me, is that you need to be very truthful to yourself about this journey. Will it be easy? Will it be difficult? But you'll be fine. That's one thing
Yeah.
I know. It would not go exactly the way you had it like planned in your head. And that's one thing. And that's why when Ife asked me, what's that thing that you learned is patience? And that's
Yeah.
because where most of us are coming from, like we have a way of working around processes, but we really do not have a way around working around processes here. You need to follow the
Mm.
process. And that's why I said you need to be truthful to yourself at that point to know, like, one thing is get the memo and get it stuck to your head.
Mhm.
Also, give yourself the grace. Like, give yourself the grace. See, I tell people that you've done well. I try to, I don't try, I pat myself on the back a whole lot of time. I've done well to be here. Like, this is something that a lot of people want, even with what Mama just said, statistics. A lot of people are still looking forward to it, but they still don't have the opportunity. So if you are here, pat yourself on the back, you're doing well. And that's where the grace comes into place. But you need to be very truthful with yourself as well. And also give yourself the grace and take it a step at a time. Network as much as you can. Canada is, to an extent, like an isolated community. And if you're not intentional about networking, you'll find yourself being isolated. So you need to be very intentional about networking and respectfully reach out to people. The word respectfully, reach out to people, both young and old. And again, I said, be truthful to yourself. And the word is, whatever mindset it is that you had, I usually tell people, I think it's just very important to dump most of it at Pearson Airport or whatever airport you came from, because you would have to relearn unlearn, sorry, relearn and learn some new stuff that will take you through this journey. And the moment you understand, or the moment you learn it early, or you get this notion early, it helps your journey.
Mm-hmm.
The earlier you learn it, the earlier you can be able to navigate this journey. The later you learn it doesn't mean that you cannot make things work at the later stage, but it takes a lot of time. So network with people and respectfully reach out to people, both young and old, that your spirit nudges you to. Like, I know I learned something from someone. The only two answers you can hear from someone here in Canada is yes or no.
That's it.
There's no it's either a yes or a no. And whatever answer they give you would
It
help
should
you
be
prepare for
okay.
the next phase. Like so,
Mm.
and again, as Canadians, I don't think even a no can stress me again or give me any mental health issue again. The no means okay, we don't see any need for you here.
Redirection. Yeah. Mm.
Whoa! So there are two things it's telling you. Either you're not in the right sect, or what you're submitting is not the right thing, or you've not still met the right set of people. And also be open to changes. The journey of licensing for those that probably want to become international trained, like that want to practice like what they were doing back home, might not start from sorry, the journey of licensing might start from anywhere. It can start from even the team's job you're doing. It can start from even a church member, a mosque member. It can start from a classmate. I remember one of my when I was like one of my classmates then, um, she started a nursing licensing exam while we were in school. To cut the long story short, she's in the US now. She got the licensing before she finished school. And how did she get it? She was working in Timmy's and she met somebody, like a Canadian in Timmy's, that was also actively working, like working in Timmy's to get money and was also preparing for that. The person was even a
Mm.
permanent residency person, but the person just needed, and that was the person that helped her. The person gave her most of the materials she was using to read to reduce the cost. That was at Timmy's. Like, imagine if she had said, nah, Timmy's and me, that's a low standard job. I can't do it. She was
Mm.
going to miss that. And right now she's in the US practicing as a border nurse. So the journey to licensing can start from anywhere, provided you have set your heart to it. And one of the fastest ways of this journey being accomplished is volunteering. Like that's the easiest and the fastest way. You don't need to write so many resumes and all of that, and there's no fear of rejection except if we do not see you to be someone that is up and doing. But once you can put yourself in these places, you get the experience, you meet people, you form you meet group members, you meet families, you meet buddies, you meet lifelong, like people that you would even become friends with, even if you don't even end up practicing or doing those things. You meet people along career chart, like that can even help you grow your career. You'll find out that you meet some people that tell you that we switched from medicine to nursing and this is the way it has been, and you will like it and you want to
Mm.
follow that path. So volunteering is one very fast and easy way to get this thing done. And that's why we're calling you to Oneness, because we have a lot of amazing people there
Yeah.
meet with. So basically, that's what I have to say.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much,
much,
Dami.
Nami. Thank you. I appreciate you. If yeah, I think most of the questions are done. I do know that this was a very insightful session even for me. Like just learning about the different aspects of the volunteering program as well. So we hope that as we're launching it today. So guys in the audience, if you're gonna watch this later as well, I think IT team is gonna be putting it the link
Yes,
in the
yes. In
chat
the
box as
yeah.
well in the live box, and then also in the description for these videos, so join there. Also, Oneness Education Foundation, you want to go to our website as well, and www.onesseducation.org, and then see what the programs that we have there. There's many new exciting programs we'll be rolling out, and many of these volunteers will be working with these programs and setting up and even designing some of these programs, because again, we want to make sure for IEHPs by IEHPs, and even now we're opening it to every other person who wants to support. Again, you want to see you don't want to see long waiting queues. You want to see more responses by your nurses, more pharmacists. You want to see people that are maybe culturally responsive to the needs you have, Black people, Asian. You want to see the kind of people that might understand your healthcare needs as well. This is one of the reasons why you should support Oneness, at least through the power of volunteering. So that's what I'll say for that. So please feel
People,
free to reach out. point.
Yeah,
So yeah,
before
if
we
you can
forget,
take it over.
I know some people might watch this later and they might have some questions for concerning this volunteering. You can always reach out to us. You go to our website. There are numbers you can call there, send in your questions. Someone will surely get back to you on that.
You can also drop your
Yeah,
questions
you
in
can.
this YouTube chat box
Yeah.
and
Yes.
we'll get to
Yeah, in the
questions.
chat box. I think we also even have even in the volunteer form, there's a place to ask any question, write any
Mm.
fun thing about yourself, about oneness, and how you get to hear about oneness. And then there's the info email as well that you can also reach out to us at Oneness Education Foundation. And then you can also, there's a WhatsApp number we also have. You can just send us messages. I think I'm getting messages from different parts of the world. I
We
think I got
also,
one
yeah, we also
message
have
one
a LinkedIn group we
from
can also put in
Afghanistan.
there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can also have a LinkedIn group. You can also join as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know who those who are watching. So yeah, this is the end of the show. I really appreciate you, Damilola, for being our guest tonight. After today, you're no longer our guest. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, very right.
After today, you're no longer our guest. So maybe one of these days, you probably just even host a session to say, hey, with the volunteers and say, hey guys, let's talk about what the journey looks like. Maybe
Yeah, we
since
So
we
far.
launched,
should.
Yes.
November last year,
Mhm.
or since we launched January, or whatever cohort, or you say don't use work, but whatever, maybe like a 3 month stretch. Yeah, yeah, 3 month stretch. I like that. No cohorts. And then yes, our regular host
More like
Ifeolu,
an
our
impact
community
assessment.
officer.
Maybe after 3 months.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
Feedback
Then
and
I want to know,
evaluation.
Yeah.
yeah, I want to know those amazing, amazing. You said there are a lot of nice things that you have planned out for the volunteers as well. I mean, our volunteer too. I mean, this organization was literally, probably, I would say, most of the people working behind the scenes are volunteering. So we're already kind of learning the power of volunteering at Oneness. So
And I
thank you so
must say,
much.
you've learned a new skill, right? You and
Yeah.
Ife, you've
Exactly.
learned
Like,
new
it's always
Sure.
stuff.
because volunteering is going to make you learn
I'm
so
telling
many things.
you, a lot, a
So
lot.
many
Yeah.
things. A lot. And also to the audience, watch out for an interesting program. So maybe I'll if I do a couple of seconds for that. Watch out for an interesting program coming up in December. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, most times when it's coming to the end of the year like this, people, tend to they plan for the next year, right?
Mhm.
In terms of their profession, their personal lives and stuff like that. So here at Oneness Foundation, since our focus is career focused, especially for internationally trained healthcare professionals, so we are planning a program in December, talk about the career strategy for 2025. How do you want to
Yeah.
navigate your career for 2025? We both are career
Yeah.
advisors, so we are coming up with
Right.
something to, just put it, letting you know what to do, what to expect in 2025 when it comes to your career. I know some people might want
Absolutely.
to do some career change, some career advancement, whatever career focus change or whatever you have for 2025. Just come
Right.
December, we'll put the date and everything in our we'll post it out there. Come, learn, come share, come hear from us about how you can strategize to have a productive career for 2025.
Yeah. So that would be an amazing program. So Ife and I will be hosting that. It may be on the YouTube channel, or maybe maybe one of our teams calls. So what I would advise is we may do it in a way that people can register, so we can see the traction of the people who want it, because I know career is a big conversation.
Yeah, look
You're
out
new
for
to
that.
Canada, you are old in Canada, you're trying to navigate, you're trying to change. What is the strategy behind it? Many there are many moving parts when it comes to your career. How do you think of your career as an entrepreneur? How do you
Mhm.
now don't just think of a job? How do you think of a stretch? Think of
Yeah.
a career as a stretch, because now there's going to be, there's a lot of changes, even for
Mhm.
those that work in maybe sectors in healthcare, that now artificial intelligence is coming in. How are
Yeah.
you planning for that kind of thing? How are you shaping yourself up for that? The job market can be a bit post-COVID has been very, layoffs here and there. How do you plan for those kind of things? How do you prepare yourself for them? How do you become resilient and independent, financially independent, vis-a-vis the way you're looking at your career? How do you juggle career and family, especially for those who are married, have
Work-life
kids?
balance, yeah.
Yes, that's kind of interesting. But if I is a work-life strategist, so we're going to talk about all of those kind of interesting things. How do you break your careers into short-term, mid-term, and long-term? These are important conversations you want to have as we step into 2025. So
Yeah.
hey guys, look out for that program. It is going to be amazing. I can tell you about that. I don't think we've done that in a while at Oneness, but hey, this is something that Ife and I are but very passionate about. If you want to make sure you are in that room when we are putting all the energy and passion to this conversation. So
Yeah,
guys,
I mean, for 2025, you want to work smart. You don't want to work hard.
exactly, you want to
You
work
want to be smart
quick.
with it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
You
go,
gotta
why go, why go, why take 40 minutes when you can take 4 minutes to do the same
4
thing?
minutes,
Yeah,
right?
You
I
know,
get the
you need to
same
stay
result, right?
and get the same
Exactly.
result. Yeah, I mean, you need to learn how to
Right,
balance everything and be
right,
smart about
right.
it. Yeah.
Thank you
All
for
right.
this.
Thank you so much, guys. Amazing, amazing crew. All right. So, everyone at the audience, shout out to you all. We'll see you guys. Hey, if you're in Canada, brace up. I think the snow is going to come to Ontario this coming week. So, brace up for that.
Really?
I heard it's snowing in other parts, obviously. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like it's going to be a very, very winter. Let me not say
Chilly,
brutal
chilly
winter.
winter.
Cheesy winter, yeah. And for those for watching from all other parts of the world, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Nigeria, Ghana, we have amazing folks from everywhere: Ethiopia, South Africa, Mexico, Brazil, wherever part of the world, Philippines. We want to know where you're from. I think we may be having sessions where we want to actually interact and maybe even give options for people to speak live. So please, we say our shout out here. Connect with us anywhere you see us on LinkedIn. These are our LinkedIn names. So connect with us, and we can always take it up from there. From us and everybody on the team, we say
Good night.
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.